Hi, I'm Zachary Cowan, the author of the Study Daily books, and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to look at something a little different, not a section of the Doctrine and Covenants, but at the very end of the Pearl of Great Price, Joseph Smith history, there is a footnote, but it's not by Joseph Smith, it's by Oliver Cowdery. So we're going to look at Oliver's testimony of these events where priesthood has been restored and translating the Book of Mormon, and this is marvelous. In fact, it is one of the most eloquent pieces of writing that we've read so far. And it makes one think, what would it have been like if Oliver would have been allowed to translate the Book of Mormon? What would the Book of Mormon language have been like? Because he has a larger vocabulary than Joseph that the Lord would have used. And it makes you also at the same time, you're like, I wonder what it would have been like. We're very grateful. I'm very grateful that the Book of Mormon is written as simply as it is. We know that the writings of Paul and Isaiah are more complex, and the writings of the Doctrine and Covenants are even a little bit more broad in the vocabulary. And the Book of Mormon, again and again, is simple and profound at the same time. So Oliver Cowdery's, he writes this, and it's masterful. In fact, as you get ready to read this, it's 7 paragraphs. I would encourage you, because of the beauty, and there's a certain cadence, I would invite you to read it out loud. And there might even be some words that you're unfamiliar with, or other words that are not typically in your vocabulary. Go ahead and mark those. And then later, think about your own experiences, your own spiritual experiences and testimony, and think, when could I possibly use a word like this to describe my own experiences? You're going to see, as you read this, just how careful Oliver Cowdery is in finding good language to describe his experience. And I wonder how often I have missed out because I haven't carefully recorded down a spiritual experiences or a spiritual experience that has happened to me in precise enough language to really capture the emotions, the feelings, and the spirit of the occasion. Oliver Cowdery teaches us how to better record spiritual things. That's what he does. In the very first paragraph, he says, "Behold, these were days never to be forgotten." And they're not, because he wrote them down. What are the spiritual experiences, the spiritual days for you that you wish to never forget? Maybe you make a list, and throughout the coming time of a couple of weeks, you could take time to write something so that people could have your days never to be forgotten, the things that really changed you and shaped you. Also, before you go and read this or pause this and go read it, go look and see what you can discover. Or as you're going through it, look for what you can discover about 2 things. Oliver Cowdery is going to talk about the need, the absolute need for a restoration of the gospel, because there was an apostasy. There was such great confusion. And the other thing that you're really going to notice as Oliver visits and speaks with us is this. He is absolutely, positively sure that these things happened. They are laid down as fact for him, and they dispel all doubts and fears. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, read through it, look for a couple of those different things as you check out this incredible testimony by Oliver Cowdery. Thanks for studying. So I hope that you saw this language and just how carefully Oliver crafted this testimony of his. And really those last 2 paragraphs, 6 and 7, of how important this event and these things were to him. And not only to him, but to us. I can't help but wanting to craft my own spiritual experiences with a little bit more detail and precision so that they can be told and retold and treasured. I would invite you to do the same. Maybe even at the end of this section to take just a moment. If you've got paper scriptures, they've got a little space there, and write down a spiritual experience, or maybe a list of them that you want to write and create it later. If you're on a phone, of course, or an electronic device, you can add a note. What are the spiritual experiences that I have? And a commitment to record them in detail so that we can share the truth and the things that we have felt with others. For Oliver, it was undeniable. And even after he has conflicts with Joseph Smith and leaves the church and is excommunicated for a few years, because of the power of these experiences, Oliver is drawn back in because he knows what he knows and he testifies of what he knows. He is a tremendous witness of truth. I love Oliver Cowdery. Thanks for studying, and we'll see you next time.